Hello, anybody listening to this, particularly professor or the LA. My name is Neil Porterfield. I am a senior student in the IST 412 class. Today, I will be looking and summarizing my work in the Wally World group project. So, the first thing I'm going to be doing is summarizing up our development goals as a team, and then I will be describing and summarizing the four use cases of our application, and then a demonstration of each of those four use cases. So at the beginning of our project, the first thing we set out to do was create a pretty comprehensive and wide range package structure. So as you can see within all of our, I don't want to use the pen feature. I'm going to just undo that. Is there a way to hide that? Nope. All right. Well, I'm going to just do that. Okay. Can I unclick? Man, oh man. Okay. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, within our package structure, we do have quite a lot of classes. So within our engine package, we pretty much have all of the constructors and like the baseline for each one of our different classes and our different use cases. So in this case, this is our user list. So this is whenever there's any user that wants to join our or sign up for the application, they can do so by first creating themselves as a vacationer and entering their first last name, username, password, and email. So within this, we have our main UI. This is going to be what populates the screen when you first hit run. This was kind of the first place we started in terms of where we wanted to go with our project. This was going to set up and lay the groundwork for the rest of the project within our group. And me in particular, we split up by packet. So I did most of the login and park info structure. This basically took in all of the information of each park and then made it in a more organized and constructed kind of just a way to look at it in a sense. So in this park map, I created an edge, a grid, just to give the user a better feel for an actual map rather than just a list with different names on it and locations. Um, and within each one of these classes, we have these UIs. So our thought process was for each use case, we'd have a different UI set up and then cater to that specific UI whenever it came to fruition. And so you can see for each one of these, we have the park selection UI, we have the that's just the test classes, we have the transaction UI, we have work UI, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so with that being said, I will now go in the description of our four use cases. So our four use cases, I'm gonna just boot this up just to kind of give a small little rendition of what I mean. So one of our use cases was just logging in and having this little area where you can select your user and just log in. This is a very important thing for most applications these days. You're going to want some kind of protection or some kind of saved data so that whenever a user comes back, their information is there and stored somewhere. So in my sense, I'm Neil P123. Our password is just password123. And then here it brings up our main UI with our use cases. So our admin page brings up a list of all the different functionalities, parks, um, rides, attractions, shops, everything that can be edited, modified, etc., etc. Park info is just going to be you can select a park based on which park you are at. So we have 5 different parks, and then it will give you information about that. You can kind of see it in the background here, so you can see that ride, park 3, etc. Settings, pretty self-explanatory. Then we have shop, which I created, and that's going to be just going to bring up a shop, say what hours, say what's open and what's closed, and then a planner, which you can plan your day, your trip in. So now that that's done, I'm going to kind of just go through and give you a little demo of how my application, the application works. I am no longer in a group. I'm working solo. So not everything is to completion, but I did my best, and hopefully this will be enough to prove what I know and what I can do. So first, let's go into the admin tab. As you can see, it's in a list format. And you can see that, so you can see racers, Ferris wheel. These are going to be all of the different attractions that you can see, or when they're opening, closing, etc. And this is for a specific park. I think this is going to be for Park 1. And now if you wanted to, you could filter out the rides based on like which rides you wanted to. So for me, and for instance, I have these 5 rides as the rides I have in my planner, and so whenever I filter rides, these are the rides I want to see whenever I filter out. Now you can obviously just reset it, and it won't. It's not that it's not that complicated. It's very self-explanatory, but we thought it would be nice just to have a kind of centralized list of all the rides that you are able to ride, depending on what park you're at. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. Now, if we go to Park Info, this is another one I created the UI for, um, or helped create the UI for. So you can see that there's a bunch of different options here, and there's this little drop-down menu that kind of displays the 5 different parks that you can choose from. So if we wanted to, let's go to Park 3, and then if we click on View Park Info, this gives you all the different attractions that are open, or rather just in that park. Obviously, if you have an amusement park, you're not just going to have these 3 rides, but you can kind of get what I mean. Down here is the same kind of sorting kind of method here. So if you click restaurants, it'll populate restaurants, rides, events, and shops, and you could always reset it and it'll bring it back. So yeah, I mean, again, this is it doesn't look like much, but it did take a good bit to kind of fully comprehend and get working. And so this UI, especially in the drop-down menu and this kind of title, it's just a lot of formatting, and it's pretty tedious, but I think it looks good. It looked good in the end. So now if we go to settings, oh wait, sorry, not settings. Settings was going to be one of our use cases, but it turned out not to be because this isn't an app you can really customize. It's more of an app just to populate information. So moving on, if we click shop, you can see that. So we have the 5 different parks. I kind of took a different approach than the drop-down menu. I thought that since the drop-down menu was one of them, I kind of wanted to display it in a different way. And this is a lot easier for the user. There's not a different screen or enough different UI that pops up. So I used the what is it called? Swing dialog box. So whenever you click on one of these, it's going to bring up this little message right here that says shops open, what shops are open. And so let's go to a park. Yeah, so some of them have closed and what's open and what's closed, depending on what time of day. So right now it's 4:12 in the afternoon. So obviously this isn't going to be open 7 to 9. And then you can do that for the rest of the parks. So now is, well, the planner was supposed to be a part of it, but our group did split up. So I kind of primarily spent the rest of my time reformatting, refactoring, and implementing the shop. So unfortunately, the only 4 use cases that I really do have are login, the admin tab, which shows the list of the park info or all the different rides, park info, which is specified park info based on which park you want to look at, and then the shop, which shows you which shops are open and what you can do from there, or which shops you can go to and which ones are closed. So with that being said, that's essentially the conclusion of my Wally World project, or Wally Land project. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Hopefully it was a little bit informative. I would go in depth deeper into the controller and how some of these classes work together, but that would take a little bit too time. I only have too much time. I only have about 1:20 left. But if you want, I could actually show you how I set up the shop, just to give you a little sense of what I was doing. So essentially what I did was I created a Swing UI using a new Java file, and then in the source I have all of these different auto-populated components, and this just is the way that Swing formats and auto-populates all the different colors and shapes and the spacing and that such. And then down here I have all the 5 different buttons for each park. Within that I have just a preset kind of text file, and then I created a new frame, which is what you see whenever it pops up. That's just the little frame that holds all the text in it. But yeah, that's essentially the project. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a great break. Thank you.